Welcome to the Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees meeting on Monday, October the 13th. If you'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody at our new starting time of 6:30 p.m. on this beautiful October fall day. And item number one on our agenda is public comment. If you're here to make a comment on any issue within the township, now is your time to come up to the podium to my right and your left, and we ask that you stay within a 3-minute time limit.
Hi, my name is Marcy Deschner, 6924 Cedar Brook. I'm here to just give some feedback and comments on the recent ZBA meeting for the Enclave that was held on September 30th. I just wanted to provide some of the comments from the residents that were here. We did have a packed room, we did have a full house, and there was a document, a formal complaint that was submitted over the weekend as well, which I believe you've all received. If you haven't, you should reach out to get a copy. We did have a well-thought-out and planned presentation that spoke to the ordinances. It was factual. We had well-thought-out arguments. However, despite all this, our concerns really fell on deaf ears. We just want to reiterate that the ZBA, particularly Clear Cut, which we were surprised to hear, no one wants to live on Telegraph. There's no R1 housing on Telegraph when the room was full of people who live on or right off Telegraph. And particularly if you go up the street, Foxcroft is another sub that's right on Telegraph. So we're really confused about that. They basically negotiated a number of homes. They asked Robertson to give them a number. Some of the residents, here's the feedback. Clear cutting is a huge problem for Bloomfield. What can we do and what has changed? The township will allow this. And how can we work with a developer that's not willing to negotiate on real issues? Individuals have to beg for variances and often are not granted them, but a developer gets whatever they want. There was questions on the temple as another party that is benefiting from this, so why were they given so much speaking time? There was somebody in the hallway who was telling our group of people to stop talking and to shut the whatever up. It was very disrespectful. There was questions on the water and sewer survey, why no one spoke up for the residents. That was the overall general consensus, and one trustee was texting on his phone throughout the meeting and actually had his eyes closed. So we just wanted to share that feedback. We're very disappointed. We're disappointed with the result, but we hope some changes can be made going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment under public comment? If not, we'll close public comment and move to item number 2, consider the consent agenda, items 2A, B, C, and D.
I would like to remove item C and item D.
Item C and D. Mark, is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, C and D, okay. And we'll move those to when we come back out of private session to 6A and B. If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve items A and B.
Support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes 7-0. Item number 3, presentation of Bloomfield Hills School District Sinking Fund Millage proposal presented by our school superintendent, Rick West. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you and good evening. I appreciate this opportunity to inform our community about a proposal, millage proposal that is on November 4th's ballot. So many of you probably received an absentee ballot already. I understand those have gone out, and just wanted to inform the community regarding the question being asked. The School District Board of Education did in June or July approve that this millage be put on the ballot for November. It is a 1.5 mil sinking fund for a 10-year statutory limited amount of time for the sinking fund to be levied. So currently, the community is paying a 0.7 mil sinking fund. We are asking for 1.5 mil. After careful consideration from the Board of Education and looking at our needs over the next decade, we are asking for this. We anticipate it to generate about $90 million over the 10 years. It's a pay-as-you-go strategy for the 4 allowable areas. that being infrastructure needs, repairs.
Rick, I don't want to interrupt you, but talk to the board. Okay,
Oh, I'm
you're
sorry.
addressing the
I'm
board.
sorry.
Yeah,
Thank
sure,
you. Thank you. So we are talking about 4 allowable areas. We're talking about technology, transportation, safety and security, and infrastructure. So those 4 areas, and thank you, Mr. McCready, for your work as a legislator and the expansion of those uses. So we are very excited about this opportunity. We believe it's a financially smart strategy to pay as you go, to invest in the school district's physical assets. So I'm going to leave some documents behind, if I can, for the community to have more information. I've also had 2 public events in the past couple of weeks. I have a third one that will be virtually, trying to accommodate all of the needs of our community, and that will be on next Thursday, October 23rd at noon. It's a virtual meeting to allow people to, I'll go through a more formal presentation and provide time for question and answer. So I certainly appreciate the opportunities here to educate the community on this ask, and many of you, again, have the ballot, and I will leave back some information and will be available for questions in my office should any arise from the community. So thank you, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Rick. We may have some questions. Any of the board member have any questions for Rick while he's here?
I don't have a question, but I have a statement. As usual, whenever we run an election, it requires collaboration from a lot of people in the community. And one of those collaborators is the Bloomfield Hills Schools. So every time I get a chance, I want to thank you on behalf of the Township Board and the Township residents for always being so gracious in hosting elections and working with us to make sure that the precincts are available to the residents of the township to come in and vote from 6 a.m. we start setting up until 9 o'clock at night. And I know that there's the building staff, and they've got things to do there that are education-related, but they take their time out to really help us out. So, thanks a lot for being such a great host and helping to make elections possible.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that too, and very much value our partnership that we have with the township. So thank you all.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Do we need to pass a motion?
No,
Okay.
just a presentation. Yeah. Thank you, Rick. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Appreciate it. Good to
Okay.
see you.
Yeah, good luck. All right, item number 4, one of the finest road advisory committees there is in the township, right? Welcome, Jeff Salz, our chair of our road advisory committee.
Yes.
And I know we have many of our members with us tonight here. Thank you very much. Yep.
You're right.
I didn't expect to have to do this, too. I thought someone else was going to do this. All right. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you for devoting this time for us to present what we've been working on for the last 6 months. And as you'll see from tonight's report, it's a very, very complex, complex issue. And it's also a very fluid issue. Things are changing all the time, especially now with the new budget. We don't even, so you'll see from the report how fluid and how complex this issue is.
So, Mr. Salz, by the way, if you do want assistance to move the slides, we can do it. Just say move slide.
Would you?
Sure.
Thanks. Okay, go to the next slide. All right. If you remember last March,
Can you move your microphone closer to you, Jeff?
like this is
Yeah, there
better?
you go, yeah.
Okay,
It's
there we
a
are.
digital connection now, so sometimes it's hit or miss.
All right,
Closer
very
you
good.
get, sometimes the better chance we have of making the connection.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you remember last March, you asked that a new Citizens Advisory Committee be formed to look into the condition of the local roads in Bloomfield Township, which you all agree the local roads are abominable, they're terrible. But also to look into the system that allows this to happen, the reasons for these conditions, and eventually some possible solutions that we could offer to get back on track. Next slide. So the first thing we did, well, first we had a committee of 9 members it was formed. And except Mr. McCready and myself, the members are Gary Asarian. Only 2 are not here tonight, everybody else is. John Cervenak, Steve Harris, Jeff Hockman, Fred Nader, Mindy Richards, and Jay Shaw. Every one of these folks, they come from all over the township, different regions. All of them have demonstrated great leadership, whether at the township level, the HOA level, businesses, or other organizational roles. The committee has been meeting almost every other week since last April. And tonight, we are going to report on the progress to this point, just to this point. Next slide. The first thing we did was we created a mission statement to remind us every meeting who we are, what we're there to do, and to keep on track. And the Road Advisory Committee of Bloomfield Township is a volunteer group committed to supporting the community by reviewing current road conditions, identifying problem areas, discussing practical solutions for improvement, and researching methods of promoting self-autonomy of local roads. The committee works to explore feasible repair and maintenance strategies, research legislative funding opportunities, and develop creative, cost-effective recommendations. Acting as an advisory role, they will assist the Board of Trustees in making informed decisions about road-related needs and priorities. And I just want to reiterate that except for Mr. McCready, none of the board, these members on this committee are paid and get nothing except the satisfaction of working for the community. The next. Under the heading of a picture is worth 1,000 words, this is called a PACER, P-A-S-E-R report. It is prepared, now it's being prepared by Hubble, Roth, and Clerk for the Road Commission of Oakland County, and that's who publishes it. So this is not something that was prepared by the township or any of us. This comes directly from the county, who publishes it, and Hubble, Roth, and Clerk does the research. We'll have much more to discuss on all this later during the reports, but I wanted to introduce to this because this pretty much sums up where we are right now. And this report is published every 3 years. So this one, it says 2024. I'm not sure when the documentation was gotten or how old it is. It's changed since then, and it's going to change. But this is the most recent one we have. The way this is on this report, these are all, by the way, these are the local roads. When we say local, what our committee says is local, are subdivision roads. The roads that your driveway empties out into, the roads you take a walk on, you ride your bike, whatever. Those are the local roads. So what this shows here is that all the green roads, the green lines, this is every road in the township, every local road. All the green ones are in good condition. All the yellow ones are fair, and all the red ones are in poor condition, needing to be replaced. So there's a lot more to be talked about this later, but there's two big takeaways from this one picture. Number one is look at all the red. All those roads need to be replaced. Now, again, some of them may have been improved. For instance, Bloomfield Village, they had a lot of work done at great expense to each homeowner. But some of those have been repaired. However, some of the yellow roads that are in there on yellow, they're now some of them will probably fall into the red. We have no documentation on that. This is the report we have. That's all we've got right now. We'll get later ones as they come out. The second thing that comes out of these is that every one of these roads, every one, is owned by the county. Bloomfield Township has no ownership and has no authority over any of these roads. Now, granted, our police department gives tickets or whatever, but we have no authority to do anything on any of these roads. So, and the position that the county has been taken all these years has been, these are your roads, you drive on them. If you want to fix, you pay for them. Well, can you imagine, I have a commercial building, I have a tenant in that commercial building, and imagine if you came to me and said, Mr. Salz, your roof is leaking on the building. And I'd say, well, you're using it, you fix it. How long do you think that would last? Well, that's basically what the township has been, the county has been telling us. But then after they tell us that, if we want to propose any sort of traffic mitigation or traffic calming or close off any streets to stop cut-through traffic, well, the county then says, oh, no, these are public roads. They're open to the entire community. Everybody uses them. You can't do that. Okay, which is it? More on that later. Next slide. So what we did was, instead of going on the internet to look for all the statistics and figures we want, knowing, of course, that everything on the internet is absolutely true and factual, we decided that we wanted to go to primary sources. So we started right here in Bloomfield Township with Noah Mahalski, our Director of Public Works. And from there, we went to the Road Commission for Oakland County. Then we had finance from the township. And then we went to other places. We had MDOT. We had our engineering people. We even went outside to other communities that had the same problem, that have been working on it before we got started, so that maybe we wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. Let's see what they did. So we got them to come and talk to us, and we got our state representative, Donnie Steele, to come and talk to us and tell us about what's going on in Lansing. So, I think, is there a next? Yeah, okay. So what we did is we divided into 4 subcommittees. We have the current situation in Bloomfield Township. Don't go any further. The current situation in Bloomfield Township, the current situation county and state, the current situation financial, and then the current situation, the township roads and financing. So what we have here tonight, we've broken into 4 subcommittees, and each one is going to do a presentation on this. But what I want to tell you is that this is just, we just found. This is where we are, just fact-finding. There's a very good quote from Winston Churchill that really sums up where we are here. And he said, this is not the end, it's not the beginning of the end, but it's the end of the beginning. So we're at that point right now. So I would say that if anybody's here or watching online that thinks we're going to come up with these wonderful solutions tonight, and here's some solutions to this problem, you'll be sorely disappointed because there are none. Not yet. This is simply fact-finding. So what we'd like to do is have each one of the subcommittees report, and then have you folks on the board, if you have any questions, that is, after each section, rather than wait till the end to do all of it, do each section at a time. So with that, I'm going to introduce the first one, current situation in the township, John Cervenak.
Thank you, Jeff. First of all, good evening to the members of the board and the interested residents. My name is John Cervenak. I've been a township resident for over 23 years. I've been a computer scientist, a technical support manager, and a problem solver for over 46 years. I serve on the board of the Hampton Hills Homeowners Association as vice president. And I invited Supervisor McCready shortly after his election to one of our HOA meetings to meet some of his constituents, as well as talk about what his plans were for our township. One of his major concerns were that of the condition of the roads. He was in the process of forming an advisory committee to study the current situation, investigate options, and to address the issues to provide recommendations for solutions. I immediately accepted the opportunity to be on that committee, and so here I am. First step in problem solving is to fully understand the problem. As you saw earlier, over the past several months, diagrams that Jeff had brought up is during that 3-year period. You may see differences in your areas, obviously, if there's been improvements, or in some cases, if roadways have gotten worse. But they're all based on using this PACER rating, which is a scale of 1 meaning failed, up to 10 being good. And listed in that chart, there are also recommended treatments by which how to bring it up to an excellent condition. So the charts that you see are going to be associated with good, fair, or poor. So it groups the bottom 4 categories of the PACER ratings into poor, which will show up as red on the roadways. The next 3 would be rated as fair, and the top 3 are rated as good. Next slide, please. So first of all, who's responsible for the conditions of the roadways? Michigan Department of Transportation's responsibility is with major highways, which are the U.S. highways, the ones that start with a U, like US 24, Telegraph. The interstate roads, we're all familiar with I-75, I-696. The M roads, which are things like M1 or Woodward Avenue, for instance. So the Michigan Department of Transportation is responsible for only those highways. As far as we're concerned for Oakland County, the Road Commission for Oakland County is responsible for the other main roads in Oakland County, as well as the subdivision streets in Oakland County's townships only. If it's a city or a village, the city or the village is responsible for those. Next slide, please. So obviously, road maintenance takes money. So where does Road Commission of Oakland County, who is responsible for our subdivision roads, get its money? Well, main roads are partially funded by federal and state aid, and the remainder of that is with their budget. For subdivision streets, there specifically is no federal or state aid, only the county budget. And you'll hear more about this Public Act 51, which is the law that was passed that imposes the restrictions on it unless it's a city or a village. So with no financial aid for subdivision streets, obviously the improvements have to come from somewhere, and they come from something called a Special Assessment District, or SAD. Next slide, please. So what's a Special Assessment District? It's a designated area where a majority of the property owners agree to allow a governmental agency to levy a special property tax in exchange for a specific service, such as the paving or repaving a residential street. So that governmental agency agrees to pay for the cost of the service up front, and then the property owners agree to pay back their share over a period of years in the form of a special property tax. And some of the residents may be experiencing a SAD now, and we'll go into details of those later. Next slide, please. So this is a pacer diagram of the current conditions of the main roads in Oakland County. So you can see, once again, the good roads in the top three categories are rated green, so several of them are green. The next level of ratings are rated fair, and so a majority of our things are in fair condition. And then there's a few of them that are marked in red. And once again, those are all the responsibility of the Road Commission for Oakland County, and they do get financial aid to maintain those roads. Next slide, please. So this is another look at the township roads that are in the subdivisions where there is no financial aid. And obviously, as Jeff had mentioned before, the majority of them are in red, which are desperately in need of repair, which I don't need to tell residents that, or even the board that. You're probably all familiar with that. And it's not just a problem with our township. Next slide, please. If you look at all of Oakland County, for the roadways that are not maintained by MDOT, nor have any federal or state funding, in other words, local roads, the majority of those are also in poor condition, with a bunch of sprinkled through fair ones, and you can barely find any green ones in there at all. So obviously it's a problem, not with Bloomfield Township, but with most of the county. In fact, if you bring up a chart, which I didn't bring, of all of southeastern Michigan, it seems to mimic the same sort of symptoms. Next slide, please. So Bloomfield Township has their own road division. It's responsible for 213 miles of subdivision streets, which include 37 miles of unpaved gravel roads. So that means we can maintain those road surfaces, but we can't replace or reconstruct those surfaces. So they do the gravel replacement on the gravel roads. Obviously, during the winter time, we've got the snow plows and the salt laying out there. We the department does do asphalt patching in areas, and then they also do what's called a asphalt overlay for minor repairs. It's not a reconstruction of the asphalt roads, but it's a thin layer of asphalt that does address some of the issues, but if you have deep potholes in it, those don't get fixed at all. That does require replacement. And as Jeff mentioned, the township doesn't have ownership or jurisdiction over the roads. In other words, if you wanted a speed limit change, you can't do that. If you want to put signage up, you can't do that. If in your subdivision you're concerned that cars that are cutting through are going through at a high rate of speed and you want speed humps, you have to deal with the Road Commission for Oakland County on that. You can't deal with the township because they have no jurisdiction over the local roads. And again, the township is not responsible for repaving or replacing any of the roads. Next slide, please. So in summary, the subdivision streets in Bloomfield Township are mostly rated as poor, obviously. And then currently, the only option for those that recognize the poor condition of the street is to pay for it themselves through an SAD process. Next slide, please. So what does that mean? Property owners bear the cost some upwards of $60,000 per lot to have the road repaved in front of your house. Doesn't seem to make any sense because residents are paying to replace roads that they don't own at all. It becomes a debt to your property. It's a significant financial burden, and it certainly isn't a sustainable solution to be told that you have to pay for having stuff fixed in front of your house that you don't even own. Next slide, please. So on the other side, you probably realize that most subdivisions in Bloomfield Township don't have sidewalks, which means that the roadways are carrying pedestrian traffic, bicyclists, as well as the motor vehicle traffic. And so the poor road conditions that we may have present themselves as a safety issue for those types of people on the road. The interesting thing about it is the road commission rates when to do stuff on roadways based on safety issues. It's not how bad stuff is, but how unsafe it is. So the fact that we're mixing pedestrian traffic and bicycle traffic and vehicular traffic should be more motivation for the road commission of Oakland County to pay attention to it. They just need money, obviously. Are there any questions from the board?
Okay, thank you, John.
I do have two questions. The date on your map and the date on are different, and they're offset by over a year.
Correct. I downloaded it in the September date, but the data in the database is based on the assessment that's made every 3 years. That assessment that's in the database for SEMCOG is from 2024. So if roads may have been improved since then, roads may have gotten worse, but if you were to go and look at what the data is that was collected from the actual over hundreds of groups that had gone out, it's frozen in time until they do the next 3-year cycle.
And based on the Oakland County map, it doesn't appear that the cities and villages are doing any better than the townships.
I've left out the cities and the villages because I wanted to focus only on the issue that the road commission doesn't get money for townships and for their local roads. The local roads for townships and villages are managed by the city itself, and they do get this public act, PA 51 money. I'm just focusing on what the road commission can do for us with or without the funding.
Throw money in to fund the city of Pontiac, how would we have access to additional funds if we were a village or if,
Correct. No,
Yeah,
you have the
so-
same concern I did because I focused on, there's a switch in SEMCOG that says, are they federally funded or not? And that was the diagram that was generated by saying it's not funded, which means they don't get PA 51 funds. I had the same concern, Mark, when I looked at Rochester Hills where I used to live, because the street I had lived on also was reported out there, and I would have assumed it was omitted from the chart. But I'm getting the data from SEMCOG.
okay.
I understand your concern. Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, John.
next section for the county and state portion, Dr. Gary Asarian. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for asking me to speak and being part of the organization that Jeff's put together, which it's been very eye-opening and important that we actually establish why we are where we are and before we get into solutions. So I'm going to probably reiterate some of the things that you just heard, but it's important that we emphasize them and maybe get a better handle on sort of what we have to look at before. I'm Gary Asarian. I'm a retired pathologist, informatics person. I've lived in Bloomfield Township since '88 and been on various committees through the HOA in the area and did the pancake supper and all sorts of things. So I've been around for a while. And I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this project because I am a person who tried to get a SAD bill through my subdivision and it failed. So I kind of know the the goods and the bads of the whole process. So, next slide. We're all here because of Public Act 51, which was created in 1951, and it's established the Michigan Transportation Fund. The fees were based on motor vehicle registrations and fuel tax, and it was allocated to provide funding for roads and road maintenance. To date, there are over 300 amendments to the Public Act 51. It's very difficult to wade through all the different rules and regulations and restrictions that evolve into it. And we'll get into some specific parts of it, which really put townships in a bad way. The current funding has really dried up. At one time, we had a robust system here in Michigan. We were the top 10 state in the country as far as road quality in the 50s and 60s, and now I think we're in the bottom 10 of road quality because we've kind of neglected our roads. Politicians have made a career out of saying to fix the roads or not fix the roads, and if you look at what we've done, it's been pretty feeble. The need remains high, the solutions are diverse, and it's caused local governments, as John mentioned, to various directions of self-funding and creating of these special assessment districts, which have all sorts of issues and problems associated with them. Next slide. Within why is the issue of quality controlled? Road quality still remain. It's basically the allocation formula is unbalanced and it's not proper as far as I'm concerned and the committee is concerned. Sparsely populated areas and rural counties receive more funding per resident, even though dense urban areas have the highest share of funding. So thus there's a need to evaluate the efficiencies of the funding system and how the unbalance can be rebalanced. The Michigan Department of Transportation is primarily responsible for maintaining, constructing, and improving the trunk line highways. And they receive all their funding from the Michigan Transportation Fund. Next. The county road commissions, there's a jurisdiction, maintenance, and construction. The jurisdiction for the roads commission, they're responsible for roads in the township, that's at the county level. And maintenance and construction, the commissions are responsible for maintaining, constructing these roads. And in Public Act 51, however, the system does not include funding for townships. Why is this important? Because townships are governed differently than other entities or government institutions in cities and village institutions, where we are kind of tapped out at a millage rate, I think is at 10, and if we were a different sort of a city charter, you could have a mill rate up to 20. So it's just a consideration to take into mind that some of these things you're kind of caught in a like a Charlotte's Web. Next one. Responsibilities are the key players. Sorry, I have to keep using my reading glasses here. The road commission, they maintain the roads, and I think to a person, people would say that they do a very good job on a daily basis, especially in the winter. It's hard to get to say anything bad about the salting and the snow removal and some of the other things. And then the road commission's responsible for the roads, and the MDOT handles all the trunk lines and those sorts of things, which I think we're all aware of. Next slide. In Bloomfield Township, the local roads are deteriorating, as was mentioned. All you have to do is take a look around. The residents and roads the residents report roads are getting bigger and bigger potholes. Patching has become a problem. It's ongoing. People call when the people on bikes have issues. And now they have these scooters that you have to go along, and we all have to remember that our township doesn't require sidewalks to be built for new construction. And so the roads are really the most important means of not only for the transportation of the cars, but the pedestrian and the playing areas for the kids. To the chagrin of the residents, the maintenance programs have been non-existent, and so they've kind of gone out to seek their own remedies. The degree of neglect, as John showed, is pretty universal within the townships. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that, except for the thing that it's not just an eyesore or your tires going. We actually had a young child fall off their bike and break their arm basically because of the roads recently, within the last 6 or 8 months. And when you see the kids coming down, it's really a safety issue that we're all facing, and something bad will happen, and then everyone will just look at each other and say, geez, what happened? So anyway, that's why I'm kind of proud to be on the group. I think the group is doing a pretty comprehensive job so that you can do your job, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thanks, Gary. Any questions for Gary? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. You want me to go through the financing?
That's you.
Oh, okay, I guess I'm up. Okay, thank you. All right, go to the next slide, Em. Yeah, sure. Okay, so this is what our revenue comes in at for our road funding, is through taxes and assessments, road fund repayments from the county, and transfers in. Next slide, Amber. So the funding road millage for general fund and RCOC reimbursement. State road, Bloomfield Township does not receive any state funding specifically for roads. It all comes from the Road Commission of Oakland County. We do have a maintenance agreement with the Road Commission. We get reimbursed about $800,000 a year annually, and it increases at a rate of 2%. Township roads revenue, we receive $3.4 million. We transfer in from the general fund, which was $1.9 million. That's the highest we've ever had it this year. Most years we're under $1 million. However, with the new funding that just was passed, the state budget, we will lose some funding out of our constitutional funding. We receive constitutional and statutory funding from the state of Michigan. Our constitutional funding, I believe, Michael, was what, about $420,000, right? And our statutory funding was in the $80,000 range. With the removal of the constitutional funding that has just occurred in the new budget, we estimate we'll be receiving $300,000 now less. And this is money we did put towards roads. And then the three main funding sources are millage transfers in from our general fund, the Road Commission, which is $1.5 million of contracted paving, $200,000 of patching, $200,000 for salt on local roads, and then we also have in there our personnel for retiree costs as well. It's very expensive now to repave a road, as we're finding out. Through this budget that we have, we're able to fix and repair, not replace, but fix and repair about 2 miles of roads a year in the township, where we have over 200 miles of roads. So it's not even a bandage of what it takes. And now with the change in the funding model that was just introduced by the state, which we're still learning about, we hope to receive more support from the Road Commission, but we don't know exactly what that looks like. It's all under the microscope, and we'll learn over the next month or so exactly what will be coming our way. Is there another? I think that's it, isn't it, Amber? Oh, here we go. Okay, this is our millage schedule. If you look at it, the following, the road, and that's highlighted there, and it comes down to our millage is at about 9.96 out of 10 mills possible. So we're handicapped on being able to raise a millage. Even if we could pass a millage in our township, it'd be very difficult because we have over 20 special assessment districts right now, which means they're paying. Why would they vote for a millage? We have so many dirt roads that aren't going to get paved. They wouldn't vote for a millage. And we also have many private communities and that take care of their own roads, they wouldn't pay. So we're challenged, even if we tried to pass a millage in 5 years, when we start getting some of our bonds and millages off our books starting in 2030 and then 2032, to get something passed when we're capped like this. Is there another one? Okay, millages may be used to fund debt, but for the most voted to approve residents' campus construction bonds. State statute says that townships are limited to 10 mills, even though that can be debated. Cities can go to 20 mills, which means they have the ability to raise the millages to pay for their roads, as well as they're going to get direct funding from the state, where the township doesn't. It goes through the Road Commission of Oakland County. And then we have what's called the Special Assessment District, which the acronym is SAD, which couldn't fit the description any better. The townships are well below a legal limit. Credit rating is important. We're carrying right now, I believe it's about $40 million, $43 million in debt on SADs, which can have an effect on our credit rating, which is another subject we have to take into account. Do we want to continue to carry the weight of special assessment districts, even though there's a revenue source? It is looked at on our S&P rating as debt to the township. And then if you look at expenditures by classification, you can see where we are for salary and wages, active benefits, supplies, contracted services, retiree benefits, capital outlay, and other. And we are very efficient at what we have to work with, but we are working with 40-year-old roads. The road fund and the public safety fund rely on significant transfers from the general fund. Road fund transfers fluctuate year to year based on capital outlay, major costs, and our investments. Amounts also fluctuate based on available resources. Over the past 10 years, the general fund has supported the road fund with transferring $11.4 million. In 2025 was $1.9 million, and in fiscal year 2026, we expect to be at $2.7 million. And again, this amount only allows us with what we transfer in, the millages that we collect, and the money we get from the Road Commission of Oakland County, is to plow our roads, salt our roads, and repair and not replace, but fix 2 miles of roads in a township that has over 200 miles of roads. Is that the last one, Amber?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question about the payments from the county. I'd like to know, address why those are not increasing at the same rate as our property taxes. So when our
It's all in the Act 51. It's all been negotiated, so it's a fixed number for us.
every year?
Yeah, every year with, I think it's a 2% increase.
So
Yeah.
even if they,
Yeah.
like we got over
Yeah.
7% increase,
Yep. Yeah.
they just get to pocket it, and then the
Handcuffed.
county says, we don't have enough money to help you.
But yes, but the good thing about the road commission is, and I give them credit, they've taken care of our main roads for us. The Lone Pine, Long Lake, they did overlays. They've kept the main roads in good conditions. Interior roads, they just haven't had the money to put into it, and the state hasn't been able to invest in it, and we can't raise our millage rates, so we're kind of handcuffed.
Yes, but we do have a second general fund millage, and the township has been able to accrue since 2021, $22 million in our capital improvement fund.
That's
So-
right.
So that's funds that are available to help us out.
Mark, we're looking at building a new police department. We have to put in a new fire station, and we have to fix our roads. Stone report that was done about 8-10 months ago, and just showed our police department. Our police department, if you've walked down through there, our dispatch, for instance, sits in a room about half this size, 4 walls. They look at the jail cells. There's no windows, and the dispatchers are on 12-hour shifts, and they're crammed in. We don't have lockers for male and females because when the building was built, starting in 1938, we've added on to 3 times, didn't accommodate these things. We're short about 50% of the space we need. We need about 36,000 square feet for our police department, and we're working in a space under 18,000. Our fire department, luckily, Central Station's in good shape, Station 2 and 4 are in pretty good shape, but it's our Station 3 that's at Maple and Telegraph that is extremely outdated. We can't put a proper ladder truck in there, and that's one of the main hubs that services many of our local neighborhoods, as in Birmingham Farms, Westchester Village, Bloomfield Village, Foxcroft, and they have to have backup. We were fortunate. We went to the state. We were able to negotiate through the budget to get about, I think it was how much did we get? $1.5 million in the state's budget this year to help go towards our fire station. We asked for $12 million. We're going to go back to the state and try and get some more money to help pay for these things. But I'd like to talk about financing the new police department and fire station internally. And we have that money set aside in our capital fund, as you indicated, to pay for those things, so that then we can focus on how to pay for roads, whether it's through a millage, through the road commission, or some other funding one way or another. But we have our work cut out for us on this issue.
And what about the, in the actuaries for the pension, those are dropping off, I believe, around 2029. Those payments will start dropping
I
in the
think
pension?
we start, is it, Michael? I don't
I
think
don't know what that means,
Yeah.
drop off.
So the actuaries, the Milliman reports show expected payouts. And over the last 5 years, around 2028, 2029, the actuaries are showing that the actually determined contributions would be falling off. What about those funds coming available at that time frame? And
We're not going to see a decrease in the ADC until the early part of next decade.
yeah, about 2029, that's about 5 years off.
No, the middle part of the next decade, so.
Which would be 2035.
334.
Yeah. What will happen is we'll have some millage and bonds that come off in 2030 and 2032 that we could look at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're I think we're at 89% funded in our pensions, and we're 28% funded in our OPEB, which are our healthcare benefits. The state wants to see all communities at 40%, so we're constantly trying to put money aside. And there's also fluctuation in the market that affect that as well. And that was passed back in 2013 under the grand bargain when Detroit went bankrupt. And there was state guaranteed the pensions. I think they ended up guaranteeing them at 90%. But as for the OPEB, which is the health care benefit, most of the employees were left with, I forget the number, but it was very low. And that's what instituted the 40% to bring everybody up to speed so we can cover some of the costs. And every community, many of the communities are still working to try and get that number up to the 40%. It's a challenge because you always have retirees. Someone retires, it only adds to that number. Any other questions?
Not a question, but a point I wanted to make just briefly, which is the township has, just sort of add this to maybe another bullet point. It was 1950s when the township first created a road fund, and the community members voted in a road fund in the 1950s. And it's been providing support for weather, gravel, patching, for a very long time. The community has provided some support for that. So it's not like just a recent idea that we've been thinking about roads and trying to help them elongate their lifespan. Those investments over the long period of time the community has made has helped them live longer. They're really, really past their prime now, but they have actually survived much longer than anticipated and much longer than would have been expected from the roads when they were built. And some of that's because of the contributions the community has made since the 50s to do things, the preventative maintenance like the patching and so forth.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have a DPW department that we can send out and do some things. Even though it's a small amount, every little bit helps at this point. Okay, any other questions? If not, is there another? Jeff Hockman, come on up, Jeff.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Hockman. I've been a resident of the township for over 9 years. And I'm going to kind of do the wrap-up of what you've heard tonight, and then we'll get into any questions you may have. So the first slide, please. This is just stating what we've talked about in the past. The key is we're at our max millage, and we really have no capacity to continue to do any funding where we sit today. And so that is our only option, has been the SADs, which we've talked about. Next slide, please. This talks about the road division. We have the 213 miles of paved road, 37. Then that lists the services that we're providing. The key here is we're not doing any replacement of the roads, the reconstruction of the local neighborhood roads. You know, it's just a kind of a patching and keeping crack sealing and doing salt removal. It's not getting at the fundamental issue as all these maps have shown in the deterioration. Next slide, please. This just summarizes the SADs, which you're familiar with. There's 23 of them, and it's the last ones we've just done in the town for the village. They're now coming in at over $4 million per mile. So the cost to do these roads go up every year, and they're significant, and they're a significant burden on the homeowners. Next slide. The one thing the township has done is really help on this is to provide the SAD funding through the bond issues that we talked about. And those have run 10 to 15 years, which helps obviously the payment, but still is the obligation in the payment of the homeowner. The other thing, just a little sidelight, however, SAD monies are not deductible from their taxes. So you pay on the tax bill, but you cannot deduct it, which seems editorializing very unfair. The current outstanding balance of that for the township is $56 million. And, you have to start wondering at what point can the township continue to fund the SADs to the extent they want to do it, and how it affects your bond rating, your credit rating. So all those have to come into consideration, and it's not just an unlimited future to continue to have the township do that. So, the other thing is the SADs are reaching such a high price per property or per homeowner that at $50,000 to $60,000 of the recent ones at the village, that this is not continuing viable to do, and it's not realistic. Next slide, please. And so what the Road Commission has been funded through Act 51 that we talked about for over 74 years, and they're receiving the state gas and registration fees that we've talked about. Where does that money go? We've been talking about it, but I think to summarize, those funds, 39% go to the state, 39% go to the road commissions throughout the state, and 22% go to city and village. The key is townships are excluded and receive no funding from the PA 51s, which is as people who use our vehicles think about, we're paying gas tax at the pump, we're paying our registration fees. We drive over here in the township and we receive absolutely zero money. It's going elsewhere. So that's, it's something we need to talk about. So that's just kind of the wrap up I wanted to do. And Jeff Salz will talk about the next steps. Are there any questions on that?
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right. So you've heard there's a lot of information here. That's why it's taken 6 months to collect it. There's a lot here. As I said, it's very complex, and it's still moving. It's a moving target, actually. But before I wrap this up, we're almost done. I just want to add something there's no slide for. I want to thank the members of this committee for putting in the hard work that they've done up to this point. For the hours they've spent, and also for the commitment to see this through to the end, which we don't know what the end is going to be and when it will be, but they've committed to that. And for them, I want to thank everybody. So this is where we are today. As you can see, as I said earlier, it's very complicated. We still don't know exactly how the new state budget will change and the funding will shake out. There are no easy solutions, so what's next? Okay, so the next thing we have to do, the next phase, is we need to analyze the information that we've collected. Analyze the impact of the new state budget. We meet again with the the Road Commission for Oakland County, and we'll meet again with the impacted Bloomfield Township departments to see how this new budget, this new funding is going to affect everything. Then we'll consider options available to the township. I'm not going to go into any of those now because we have no idea, but we'll talk about it. And we talked about a blank sheet of paper, so nothing's off the table for us to discuss. And so we'll consider those options. And then we'll do the last thing we have to do, we'll develop recommendations for the Board of Trustees.
Too, which is the commission, in a spirit of transparency and openness, the commission meets publicly in this room. The meetings are noticed and posted on our website. Anyone who wants to come, there's public comment, and you're welcome to come and communicate with the commission when they have their meetings. So just want to thank you all again for the effort and the transparency in your work.
Okay. Thank you, Martin. All right, we'll move on to item number 5, consider approval of site plan request for Jack's Car Wash at 4025 Telegraph Road, presented by Andrea Bibby, our Director of Planning and Building Ordinance.
Hi. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I have before you this evening is a presentation of a reuse of existing Bloomfield car wash. Can you go to the beginning, Amber, of the slide? Thank you. Okay, and then I can just go through it if it's yeah, I'll just do it. Thank you. Okay, so the applicant this evening is proposing to convert the existing long-standing auto wash located at 4025 Telegraph Road to a Jack's Car Wash. Highlighted on your screen here, you can see the intersection. It's at the northeast corner of Long Lake and Telegraph. I think we're all pretty familiar with the site, the existing car wash located immediately south of the gas station there at the corner. The site plan was reviewed in regards to any site changes and modifications. Since this is a new use and a new branding, we wanted to have an opportunity to review the site as it currently operates, as well as have a better understanding of how the proposed operations are to occur. There are no changes to the existing building footprint. Just to touch base on this map, you can see highlighted here that B3 is the zoning classification, and auto laundries are considered a permitted use within the B3 classification. And then here is just an aerial highlighting the site within the township. Okay, so moving on, as I stated, there's no changes to the existing footprint. There are going to be some slight modifications, which includes removing the existing outdoor air vacuums, which actually brings the location further into compliance, as our ordinance does require that car laundries are required to be fully enclosed. And some of the newer operations that have come to the township and new site plans, you may recall, are interior. So as part of that site modification of removing the on-site vacuums, operations will function as an express wash, with typical vehicle processing times being increased and on-site circulation, allowing now for 2 queuing lanes for 2 proposed canopies, which is seen highlighted on your screen, in terms of allowing for now 2 queuing aisles to occur as opposed to the current one, which is 1. The site itself is actually only 0.20 acres. Again, located within the B3 zoning classification. The site is not proposing any changes to the existing municipal water, sanitary sewer, and no extensions are proposed. In terms of the minimal cosmetic work which is to occur to the site, the applicant is proposing to do some new metal coping, adding some new tile, as well as some new metal panels. They're going to integrate LED lighting at the pay stations, which is going to be directed downward. And you can see, as shown on the proposed elevations, that the coloring and the design of the proposed Jack's Car Wash is to remain. However, along the south elevation, the applicant will be removing some of the existing panels there, and they'll be installing some new glass paneling in that location. But in general, you can see that the overall design and aesthetic of the building is pretty much to remain the same. They are, however, investing in some improved machinery, as well as improving the site overall in terms of their operations. As I stated earlier, the site circulation, which has been provided, as I stated, many of us are familiar with the site. The applicant is proposing to add 2 of these canopies, pay stations, one of which these are meant to read your vehicle license plates. And if you have a membership to Jack's Car Wash, this does allow for quick and easy access, with also improving the on-site circulation with the timeliness. The circulation pattern remains substantially the same as the existing, with the queuing organized as the new pay stations and a short travel path through the wash. The applicant has indicated, and the site plan does show, the ability to stack up to 15 cars on site, as well as it does allow for the 3 which can go into the tunnel at the same time. So I just wanted to tell you that this was reviewed by our traffic engineer. I know that we're all very familiar with the site, and the applicant did provide Fishbeck Engineering, which is the township's traffic engineer, an example they did provide data of another Jack's Car Wash, which was also rebranded within Royal Oak on Woodward Avenue, and that our traffic engineer reviewed that data from that site for 4 days, indicating that the peak operational time for this operation is between April and May. And the data shows that the maximum number of customers is taken at a weekday noon peak hour, and that peak operation is stating, based on that data that was provided, a total of 41 cars that would, during that peak time, that would go through the car wash. And again, our traffic engineer does not feel that there's going to be any concerns related to the queuing. And also noting, the applicant has noted that they do have 2 dedicated staff members who are continuously drying cars and directing exit traffic to ensure a quicker turnaround, reduce wait times, and prevent congestion and optimize vehicle movement. That being said, the request is to operate Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., which is in a line with our permitted hours of operation within township, and also seeking to operate on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. They do state that they have an advanced license plate recognition for fast entry and exit. The system identifies members immediately, eliminating delays and significantly improving transaction speed and customer service. A comprehensive traffic study, detailed project impact and mitigation strategies have been submitted. And they've also provided the attached pay station installation, which has also been included. And I have provided an example of such pay station. Oh, I did. I must have taken out the PowerPoint. Well, there is the drawing of it. It's not showing the rendering exactly in color, but that is the drawing of what the typical canopy, and 2 of these would be located within a new parking island, a new cement or a concrete island, if you will, which will locate those canopies. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I do want to note that there's no signage being proposed at this time. The applicant would have to come back in the future when they're looking to change out their signage. It'd have to go back to the design review board, and then depending on their application, whether or not they would have to go to the zoning board of appeals. But from my understanding and conversations with the applicant, they are looking to reuse the existing monument sign. That is a relatively new sign that was installed just within the last couple years. So they are looking to just reuse that sign, but however, the change in that design would require DRB review. This did go before, it was reviewed by Engineering and Environmental Services, noting they have no issues. The fire department has also reviewed the application, and there's no proposed alterations to landscaping. As we know, this site, there's very limited opportunity for any landscaping. I think the more room that is provided for queuing, site circulation is more important than, we do have existing conditions that are non-conformities. So with that, we have the applicant here, and I can certainly answer any questions, and then we also have some photographs showing the existing car wash layout.
Okay, thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Andrea or the applicant? Hi. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Frank Toma, Jack's Car Wash developer.
Nice article in Cranes today about Jack's. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep. Any questions?
No, I'm just going to say that you certainly made the efforts to improve the queuing there by having the 2 pay stations, and I know they work very quickly, and also removing the vacuums. So,
Absolutely.
so there's fewer cars there. So I think between taking those steps, I really don't have any concerns about the queuing issue. Plus,
Again, thank you for coming to the township. Glad you can invest here. I think it's going to be a great location for you. I echo what Trustee Barnett said about the queuing. I think it's going to be a great thing. And obviously, if there were any issues with it, you guys don't want your customers having problems or not getting in. Your goal is to get them through as quickly as possible. And I imagine we can make adjustments if there was a problem.
Correct. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. We look forward to having you guys here.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
make a motion that we approve as submitted.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes 7-0. Thank you. Welcome,
Congratulations.
welcome to the township.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you,
Thanks a lot.
Andrea. Okay, item number 6, Martin?
Item number 6 is a request to go into a closed session and to discuss a written legal opinion. And the motion I'd like to make is that we enter closed session pursuant to MCL 15.2681H to discuss material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state and federal statute, specifically an attorney-client privileged written legal opinion. And we need a roll call vote if I get a second.
Want me to support that motion?
Yep, support. Okay, and they'll do a roll call vote. Martin?
Trustee Barnett?
Yes.
Trustee Murray?
Yes.
Trustee Antocoli?
Yes.
Trustee Kalinsky?
Yes.
Treasurer Shostak?
Yes.
I'm a yes. And Supervisor McCready?
Yes.
Carries 7-0.
Okay, so we move to closed session, and then we'll return after.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Back.
FOIA has a statement to make.
We discussed the issue in private session. That my request in the FOIA was met. And I would like to thank the board for reviewing the information, and I appreciate the time they took. Thank you.
Okay.
And you're withdrawing your appeal.
Yes, and the FOIA has been met, therefore I'm withdrawing my appeal.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Items number, we'll do 6A and then 6B, and 6A would actually be from 2C, approve the extension of Allied's construction unit pricing for the 2025 asphalt resurfacing program. Mark, you had a question on that?
Yeah, I was hoping the road committee would provide some insight on the expenses. Since that wasn't covered during the meeting, we can proceed with approving the.
Okay, I'll take that as a motion.
I would really like to understand the fund balances, especially for the general fund in December time period. I realize our taxes aren't collected till February, but we do need to have an understanding where we're at. And none of that is clear at this time, therefore I'm voting no.
Any other comments?
You're welcome at any time to come and meet with the staff here and have all your questions answered, as
Okay.
usual.
Motion to approve?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
6-1. Okay, move
Move we
for
adjourn.
adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.